Well, hello and welcome, beloveds, once again to Unity on the Avenue. What a joy it is to be in our community of choice. For those who are here in the sanctuary, for those who are joining us out on our beautiful labyrinth, and just being in the energy and listening to today's service. And of course, to those of you joining us online. It is perfect, and we are so glad to be able to come together once again. And for those of you who are joining us online, I would like to extend a special invitation to you as you grow and expand in your spiritual practice. You know, it is our great joy to bring you these services every week, and honestly, we need resources to be able to do that. So thank you for choosing to give where you are spiritually fed. And the easiest way to do that, just go to our website, unityontheavenue.org, and click on Donate. It's very easy. And we will reinforce this message a little bit later with some graphics for you as well. So, you know, as I am in that space of work and the joy of work and the holiday in the U.S. that is the Labor Day weekend, I just remain so blessed and so honored to be able to come to my place of work with so many beautiful and brilliant people who all contribute to making our services what they are, and the energy and the message and everything that you resonate with. So thank you for your extraordinary creativity, Pamela and Greg and Mei Lin and Ken. It is a joy, it is an honor to be in this work with you and taking our message of oneness, of love, of connectivity to the world. And speaking of that, it is also my joy to welcome one of our chaplain prayer partners. You know, our chaplains are an extension of the ecclesiastical arm of our teaching of Unity worldwide, and certainly here at Unity on the Avenue. And these beloveds have gone through special training, and whenever you submit a prayer request, they hold you in prayer for the entire month. And then your prayer request is submitted to Silent Unity, where it is held in prayer for another month. So if there's any way that we can support you celebrating the good, helping you through the interesting, please reach out to me, reach out to our chaplain prayer partners. It is our great honor to be able to be with you and support you on your spiritual path. And to that end, I love the energy of this amazing being. Please welcome the one, the only, Chaplain Alice Jordan.
I would like to acknowledge the one, the only prayer chaplain, Heidi Husjen, who submitted a prayer from Unity's Daily Word on labor. There is so much good work we can do in the world right now. Opportunities for service transcend the act itself and become the beloved in me, serving the beloved. As I keep a spiritual perspective and mindful awareness in all that I do, my day is rich with opportunities for personal connection and spiritual expression. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance." Again, all labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance. With spiritual awareness, any type of work can be done in a way that expands one's consciousness and uplifts others. At the beginning of each day, I pray that I express the beloved in all I do, and to show qualities of clarity, love, appreciation, and excellence. I am grateful at the end of each day to have engaged in a labor of love.
Indeed, showing up in excellence. That is something that our chaplain prayer partners do every moment that they are in service. And one of those wonderful service opportunities is about to unfold, and we would love to have you participate with us. Unity on the Avenue is once again participating in the International Day of Prayer that is put forth annually by Unity Worldwide Headquarters. So that is going to be happening. The day itself is Thursday, September 10th. And what that looks like for us in our community is all of our beloved chaplains are coming together with names that they have collected for people who have requested prayer for anyone or anything. And so we're just going to have some sweet music, some beautiful prayer within our community. And then again, all of those names will be forwarded to Silent Unity so they can continue to hold you and your beloveds in prayer. So if you have a prayer request for us, if you have something that our chaplains or I can hold for you, specifically in relation to World Day of Prayer, please call us here at the church office or email us that request if that's easier for you. And our email is unityontheavenue@gmail.com. And we'll make sure that you and your request are a part of that activity on Thursday the 10th. And now please join me as we affirm every week who we are and what we do with our statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And how powerful and how beautiful that is. And as you may be aware, here at Unity on the Avenue, we honor all people. We honor all relational orientations, and we honor all faith traditions, including those who may not be on a faith path. Because what we know is you are co-creating your experience with the divine. So who are we to tell you what to believe? You know what you want, you know what you need, and so we are here to support you on your path, wherever, whatever that is and wherever that leads you. So please engage with us, ask questions. We may not know all of the answers, and together we will explore and find out.
When the work begins to pile up and your temper starts to rile up, that's the time a person needs a song. Doctor, banker, butcher, baker, you can be a merry maker if you keep on singing all day long. If you're hanging in suspense from 8 till 5 and you want to keep your sense of humor alive, just whistle while you work. Put on the grin and start right into whistle loud and long. Just hum a merry tune. Just do your best and take a rest and sing yourself a song. When there's too much to do, don't let it bother you. Just get your troubles, try to be just like a cheerful chickadee. And whistle while you work. Come on, get smart, tune up and start to whistle while you work. Hum a merry tune, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Just do your best and take a rest and sing yourself a song. When there's too much to do, don't let it bother you. Forget your troubles, try to be just like that cheerful chickadee. And whistle while you work. tune up and start to whistle while you work. Come on, get smart and tune up and start and whistle while you work.
So on this day then, as we recognize and honor and celebrate the labor movement and all of the women and men who work for a living, which hopefully is most of us, it just brings me joy to celebrate the joy of work. And that's what we're going to look at a little bit more today. And you know, when I was thinking about what I wanted to share with you when I was sitting in meditation about this message and this day, what struck me is one of the strongest influencers in my life around my work ethic and how I choose to show up is my maternal grandmother. So my grandmother, Pauline, Grandma Pauline, was a chocolate dipper, right? And perhaps for many, the first image that comes to mind is Lucy and Ethel in their white outfits on the assembly line, watching all of the chocolates go by, and it goes faster and faster, and they're putting chocolates everywhere and under their hats and in their aprons, and well, that is a lot of people's experience with chocolate dippers. My grandmother was on the front end of that process, so it wasn't nearly as hectic. She would take whatever the center of the chocolate was, dip it in a vat of chocolate, and then put it in a mold or in a form, and then as the chocolate started to dry, she would use her thumb and add a design to the top of the chocolate. So if you ever see a box of mixed chocolates with all of the caramels gone, somebody knows the secret code. And for me, that is what I blame, and you've heard me share this before. That is what she is the one I specifically blame for my love of chocolate, because she was in the food service industry, and she always was dressed in an impeccable white dress and this little brown and white apron and this smart little hat. And every time I hugged her, whether it was a holiday or my birthday or I was sad, Grandma always smelled like a chocolate Easter bunny. So now, when I celebrate, when I'm happy, when we're sad, whatever we're doing, chocolate is the cure-all. And spoiler alert, you might hear a bit more about that next week from our special guest, Reverend Kathy Mastriani. She, among other things, is indeed a chocolate connoisseur. Anyway, back to today's work. So my grandmother always showed up. She was passionate about what she did. She loved what she did. And she had not one, not two, not three, but Grandma had 4 retirement parties because she kept going back, because she loved it, because she enjoyed it, because she loved the people, and she happened to love chocolate as well. So that is what I came to when I was thinking about the joy of work. Now let's look at that then. What we know is everything is on an energetic spectrum. So for those of us who are thinking about the joy of work, we also have the opportunity to think about the drudgery of work. And for many, that is drummed into us that, oh my gosh, I have to go to work. Oh, I'm so looking forward to vacation. Oh, I can't wait for a weekend. Oh, I can't wait to punch the clock and get out of here. Oh, I hate my fill in the whatever. And those messages tend to be reinforced by society. Those of us of a certain age remember the Donna Summer song from a while ago. She worked hard for her money, so hard for her money. And that was also reinforced by the musical and the song by Dolly Parton. Working 9 to 5 ain't no way to make a living. Well, guess what? For millions and millions of people, it's a wonderful and perfect way to make a living. And then we had the broadcaster who was shouting at the top of his lungs, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it any longer." Well, yes. You know, it is interesting when we look at everything along that energetic spectrum. I heard in conversation this week, perhaps it was in a media interview, I don't remember exactly where, that a man was saying, "Oh my gosh, I started thinking about retirement the day I started my job. That just made me sad, because for many of us, we spend most of our waking hours engaged in some kind of work, whether it's something we're compensated for or not. So what I would offer you today then is just some spiritual principles. I know many of us on a spiritual path are aware of this, so this may not be new information, and maybe it's a slightly different framework that you can plug this into. So the first thing that comes up for me is a sense of wonder. You know, I shared with you last week that my beloved friend, Reverend Dr. Kathleen Lenover, had made her transition. And I'm finding, as we're adjusting to a new normal and my life without Kathleen's physical presence, one of the things that I am with is I miss her sense of wonder. She was always asking questions. She was always engaged. And I shared with you her story that she started her professional life as a Catholic nun for 13 years, moved on to become a financial planner for 30 years, sold that business, and then stepped into ministry. So she was constantly growing and changing and evolving. And all along the way, she's asking people questions. I know when she was with us here at Unity for a few times, she was talking to people, and she was talking to Mark and say, what is it like to be an entrepreneur running your own bicycle shop? You're doing the mental and the physical. And she would reach out to people in the corporate world, and she would reach out. She had not one, but any number of friends who were psychic and spiritual and doing fascinating and interesting things. And then her whole ballroom dance community. She's constantly creating new synapses in her brain and welcoming new information. And the thing, as I reflect on that, and my dear friend, what Kathleen did was she asked people questions, she listened to their responses, and then she believed them. It didn't have to be her truth. And, you know, through these weeks that she has not been on the planet, people have said, she's the best listener I've ever known. So I invite you into that space of wonder. What does that look like in your life? Are you still asking questions? Are you still creating new synapses in your brain to keep you young, to keep you alive, to keep you engaged, and to keep you active? You know, the second piece that I would invite you into, the second spiritual principle, is that of owning it. Whatever you are doing, you get to own it. You get to be it. You get to represent it. You don't have to apologize for what you do. You get to step into the power and the presence that is your gift to what you're offering on the planet, whatever you're doing, however you are in service. And you know, I mentioned my grandmother, the chocolate dipper, Grandma Pauline. Well, my grandfather, her husband, was my Papa Scotty. His real name was John, but he was born in Scotland, so everybody called him Scotty. Side note, I've never understood when nicknames are longer than real names. A point to ponder for another day. So anyway, Papa Scotty was a special delivery postman. And you know, for younger folks, you may need to Google that. We haven't always had 2-day delivery or 1-day delivery or 1-hour delivery. Back in the day, the United States Post Office offered special delivery service. And what that meant was, as soon as your letter or your package arrived, wherever it was supposed to go, a postman, and they were men in those days, so a postman would take your letter or your package right away to where it was supposed to be. And that was my grandfather, that was Papa Scotty. He took great pride in waking up every day and putting on his starched shirt and his pressed pants that my grandmother worked on for him meticulously, and his tie, and he had 3 or 4 jackets depending on the weather here in Colorado, and of course his hat. and he would just beam when he put on his uniform and would go to work. And, there were a number of opportunities for him to feel badly or for him to feel less than for being just a mailman when friends were doing other things or people were making money or people were going on vacation. And I never heard my grandfather say anything negative about the U.S. Postal Service or about his role in helping people get the information that they needed. And to be sure, he was pretty clear about the messages that he was delivering just by the return address. Maybe it was from a law firm and it could have been interesting news. Maybe it was bad news. Maybe it was good news. Of course, he had no way of knowing other than his intuition. And that was his ministry. That was his way of showing up. So I invite you to that space of owning what you do, owning who you are, and owning the service you provide to the world. And please, beloveds, never apologize for what you do, because nobody does it exactly like you, and nobody will ever do it again exactly like you. The third piece that speaks to me is that of returning or repetition. And again, I reference my grandmother, the chocolate dipper, and her 4 retirement parties. So she retired and she loved it, and it brought her joy and it spoke to her heart and it fed her family. And so she returned to work. And then she worked for a little while and she enjoyed it, and she planned her next retirement party, and she retired, and guess what? She had a chocolate cake, and then she came back into civilian life and she enjoyed it. And work really brought her joy. So she kept returning, she kept repeating that process. And again, the counter messaging to that then in our society is, you can never go home again. Well, what if it's not about going home? What if it's about continuing to do that which makes you happy, that which brings you joy, that which allows you to be in that place of experience and expertise and energy, that when you are in that place, you know that you're absolutely in alignment with the divine and that this is your work to do. I truly believe, and you've heard me on more than one occasion, in more ways than one, my grandmother was doing God's work. It was chocolate all day, every day. How could that not be God's work? So I invite you into that thought process then, into those feelings and those emotions around returning. And I'm also reminded of my eye doctor, Dr. Mike. Brilliant guy. We served on the board together of a large New Thought community, and he was the charts and the graphs guy. He was the left brain, to the other 93 of us, our right brain, and so we loved him in the way he showed up. Well, at one point, he was feeling pulled and called to something else. So he was complete with his practice of ophthalmology and became a locksmith. He loved working with his hands and rekeying keys and keeping people safe. And he was also a woodworker, and he does beautiful work in his wood shop at home. And once he had the experience of doing that, he was really being pulled, back into his ophthalmology practice. So he stepped back into that. And you know how it is when things are synchronistic, when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Everything just fell into place. He had the space, he had the equipment, he had the people, he was open, he was current in his education, and so he returned to that which brought him joy. So if you're feeling called or pulled to something new, that's awesome. I bless you in that experience. And if you're feeling called or pulled to something that you did earlier in your life or earlier in your career, be with that and feel into that. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing bad, there's nothing negative. You are simply returning to that place of glorious and extraordinary and amazing energy. And the fourth spiritual practice or spiritual tool that I would invite you into then is that of knowledge. I was sharing with Rick, I had the opportunity to reconnect with one of my first bosses this week. Rick and I just celebrated a big birthday, and my friend Donald, my former boss, just celebrated his 80th birthday earlier this year. And he moved back to Colorado, and we had lunch, and we had a glorious lunch. And as I was thinking about that, and we were reminiscing about the people and the projects, and this was in the corporate world, and Donald was one of the first people who showed me that you could be extremely driven and powerful and type A and moving and keeping a bunch of balls in the air at the same time. You could be this big corporate guru and still be a kind person. I remember as part of my experience with him at Manville Corporation that he traveled with our CEO to Davos, Switzerland on the corporate jet for a luncheon presentation, and they turned around and flew back. Now that's quite an interesting mental equivalent for a young assistant manager. And he was kind, and he was hard, and he was driven, and he was excellent in the depth and the breadth of the information that he took in and that he shared. And we, over the course of our conversation, I said, Donald, you have done so many amazing things in your career, most of which that I knew about in the PR world. He had done amazing work on the public relations agency side, and he had also done work like our work at Manville Corporation on the corporate side of things. And I said, as you reflect on your illustrious career, what was your favorite? Did you enjoy the corporate side more, the agency side more? Talk to me about the pros and cons and what you think and what you did. And he took a moment and he said, thank you for asking. And he said, I don't know if you remember this part of my career or not, but I was a teacher right out of college. I taught high school journalism for 3 years, and I helped young people form their ideas about writing, about language use, about how they can get paid for what they love to do. And he said, I did that work, and I had some amazing students who went on to tremendous careers in journalism and in corporate communication. And he said, and then a dear friend, a coworker, and I created a journalism textbook that was used in the Journalism 101 courses at the college level for 30 years. A textbook is usually used for 5 years, and they went through several rewrites until technology kind of shifted that whole system. So we were doing the math, and if his book went through 5 or 6 or 7 different editions, they were all used for 5 years at a time. Each one was used for 2 semesters per year. He touched tens of thousands of students with his thoughts, with his ideas, with his wisdom, and with his knowledge. And so, again, my invitation to you is, what do you know? What are you passionate about? Maybe something that you have let go, or family, or commitments, and you've put something on the back burner. What do you know? Everybody's got a book in them, right? You've heard me say, the editor in me, I know that. Many of us have more than one. What is your book? What is your story? As my musician friends would say, don't die with your song still in you. And I would say, don't die with your book still in you. We need your knowledge. We need your wisdom. We need the light that you are bringing to the world. So the acronym then that I'm offering you on this Labor Day weekend, and how appropriate that we're doing this recording on 9/5. Maybe 9 to 5 is okay to make a living. What I would offer you then is to be in that place of wonder, to be in that place of oneness, to be in that place of connectivity, to be in that place of owning who you are. So wonder and ownership and return. It's okay to go back, and indeed necessary at some points in our life. And the K is knowledge. So there you are, my friends. That is the joy of work. I bless all who are working this day. I bless all upon whose shoulders we stand to be able to have a national holiday in honor of workers at every level in our community, in our society. And I bless you for your work, for your showing up, for you choosing what is yours to do. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday who had gone through a rough spell. And I said, you're doing well. From what I can tell, from my perspective, you continue to show up. He said, David, that's all I've got right now. That's my motto. Wake up and show up. And I invite you into that. And I am so grateful for those of you who continue to wake up and show up and participate in community with us here at Unity on the Avenue. Please join me in prayer. So I just find myself in a place of deep gratitude in this time, in this place, in this space, in this moment. Grateful for everyone doing what is theirs to do. Grateful for everyone being how is theirs to be. Because we know that everything is on that energetic spectrum. And I'm grateful for those who choose to do. And to balance that, I am equally grateful for those who choose to be. So on this day, where we are honoring and recognizing and celebrating work and workers and the work ethic, I bless the balance in each and every one of us, from waking up and showing up and giving our all to being in that place of rest, allowing our bodies, our minds, our spirits that opportunity to catch up so we can continue to move forth doing what ours to do with balance, with grace, with ease, with great peace. I also speak this word on behalf of my beloved Unity prayer partners, knowing that the World Day of Prayer on September 10th is good, great, grand, glorious, expressive, powerful, poised, and perfect. Because what I know is when we come together in prayer, either for ourselves or for others, that we are raising the vibration on the planet. And that is exactly what we need in this time, in this place. I humbly suggest that we don't need more angry activists, although I bless them in their work. We need more wise, spiritually evolved contributors into that positive energy on the planet. And I thank every person within the sound of my voice at this moment for participating in that effort, whatever it looks like, however it unfolds for you. If you pray, if you meditate, if you walk, if you hike, if you golf, if you raft, if you sit on a mountaintop, or if you relax in a teepee, it is all good because it is all God. It is all source energy. It is all contributing to the creation of a higher vibration and a higher frequency on the planet. And what we know is what is in the highest and best for one must be in the highest and best for all. So if I feel good when I engage in those practices, it is for the betterment of the greater good. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this community of prayer warriors. I'm so grateful for each and every individual who continues to do their work and thus is supporting me, is supporting us, and supporting every sentient being on the planet. So I bless it. I bless it, I love it, I honor it, I lean into it, I allow it to be, and I give great thanks for it. And I bless you, beloved. I bless you in this time of work. I bless you in this time of rest. And I know for you balance, whatever it looks like, whatever it feels like for you. because you are indeed that perfect child in whom God is well pleased. So I release, I let go, I allow it to be. I say thank you, God, for creating and providing and allow us to recognize that Christ-like spirit in all sentient beings. All is well. God is good. And so it is. And now, as we suggested earlier, we are so grateful for all of the resources that come together every week to bring these amazing services to you. Our music team, our technology team, our communication team, our leadership team, and our board of trustees. So many people are engaged in consciously creating what we are offering you. And now I invite you into that space of conscious giving. Honestly, we humbly receive your gifts, your tithes, and your offerings. For those of you joining us online for the first time, thank you for giving where you are spiritually fed. We need and we appreciate your gifts. It allows us to continue the work that we're doing. So do me a favor, as part of your spiritual practice this week, if you have never given online, visit unityontheavenue.org, click on Donate, and walk through that easy process. Whether you are offering $3, $300, anything in between, anything more, what we know is that money is God in action. And we absolutely believe in the law of reciprocity and being in the flow of life. So thank you. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your tithes. Thank you for your offerings. For those of you in the room, as you know, we are not passing the basket because of current circumstances. We do have baskets at the front of the sanctuary and at the rear of the sanctuary. So thank you in advance for your contributions in the room as well. So please join with me in blessing the prosperity, the abundance, the flow of money in our beautiful community, Unity on the Avenue. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Giving is good, receiving is good. The one power, the one presence that I call God is in and through it all.
What would I do if I knew I could not fail? If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk a razor's edge where fools and dreamers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a sea, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear, will the voice of courage whisper in my ear? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would you do today if you were brave? What would we do today if we were brave? What would you do today